to join. She's a regular on this as well.
Great.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Vijay.
Hi, Patrick.
Vijay, we also have Sage Ross joining us. He's the lead on the project EDU dashboard. Excuse me, the Wiki EDU dashboard project. So anyway, let's go ahead and do our stand-up real quickly, and then maybe we can talk about getting rolling with the Wiki project.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Vijay, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Patrick, yesterday's our Scrum meeting. After that, I create the new method in the job seekers for job applications and update the template job seeker mailer with the date function.
What was that last one again?
And update that function. I call it that function into the job seeker mailer template.
Oh, yep.
Then I create the preview spec also for this job seeker. But when I ran the Rails server, it is not showing that preview related to the job seeker job revoked.
It's not showing up, huh?
Yeah.
And you go to Rails mailer?
Yes, I go to Rails mailers, host/Rails/mailer.
Okay. All right. Well, it should be. Why don't we look at that after the stand-up?
Okay.
Okay.
That is my update.
All right. I'll go next, I guess. So for today, since yesterday, I've groomed stories for MetPlus, and I added stories as well. I had a project review this morning with a new person, Rory, who wants to start working on MetPlus. So I walked him through our typical overview, and I'm going to get him added as a collaborator so he can take a story and start working on that. I need Hewitt to do that, so it won't be done until tonight. Let's see. I've been working on removing all the Selenium tests from MetPlus. I'm down to two persistent scenarios that regularly run fine locally, but intermittently fail in Semaphore CI. So there's still flaky tests. I think I may just punt right now and put them back to Semaphore scenarios in the meantime, and add a story to at some point to go back and take those out. So anyway, that'd be good because we'd gone from 39 Selenium scenarios down to 2, which is good progress. Let's see. We also had a session this morning with Sage where we walked us through the Wiki EDU dashboard and talked to us a little bit about the overall intent of the project, the usage, the delivery model, funding sources, things like that. All good high-level contextual stuff, and a little bit of detail, but not much. And so that was very useful for myself anyway. And that's it for me. I have no blockers at this point. Sage, do you want to just go ahead and give a quick update as a standard stand-up, and then we'll switch gears?
Yeah, so I spent most of yesterday ironing out Selenium tests as well, and then sort of chasing down all of the new breakages introduced when I updated some JavaScript packages. So that was it ended in success, and I have now the latest version of React running on the dashboard. And then today I've been chasing down some data pipeline and data update related bugs in that are affecting like data that should be showing up on the dashboard but isn't.
Okay. Related to that, real quickly, you had mentioned that the version of React you put in a long time ago was using a pre-data management React component, so you had to use something called Flux Can you explain what that in a nutshell, what all that means?
Sure. So when Facebook came out with React, they basically suggested that you use this like data model to go along with it, which is like the data lives in what are called stores, and you trigger actions to update that. And so it's one-way data flow. And so you trigger an action from a component, and then that talks to the data store, which triggers an update, and then everything that's listening to that store knows to re-render itself. So that's and some a little bit later on, basically a simpler version of that, where instead of having multiple stores, you have just a single state tree for the entire application, and that's the only way to update data is to basically pass the current state into a pure function, and that pure function will modify that state and return the new state. So that latter thing that I just described, that's basically that's the principle of Redux, which has become sort of the industry standard way of doing it. And the older ways, you can have like sort of multiple independent data stores instead of one single state tree for the entire application. And so we're still using that older pattern where you have, which is called Flux, and where you have like multiple different data stores to manage the different aspects of the state of the application. So did that make a little bit of sense?
It did. I guess what triggered that was you said you've updated to the most recent version of React, but I guess you can use that version of React against an older underlying data management scheme.
Yeah, so the React part of it is basically what does the rendering, just based on the state that each component receives. But you don't have to use that with the Flux. I mean the Redux sort of pattern. It's not, Redux is not part of React itself, although it has become sort of the standard way of dealing with state in modern React.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. That helps a lot. All right. So I guess that's it for the stand-up then. So maybe we should talk a little bit about where we go from here, Sage, in terms of getting Agile Ventures people involved with the project. And I can give you my thoughts first, if that would help.
Sure. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I think the end state that we want to get at, and maybe as soon as next week, is that we start having regular scrums 2 to 3 times a week, and we can figure out when they might happen. But the thought is there that 2 to 3 or maybe 5 times a week. I don't know. Maybe at first we don't need every day. And maybe we can pick a time that would allow your intern in Pune to join. They're UTC plus 5:30. And of course, we'd be working off a project storyboard. I don't know if the project's capability in GitHub allows for that, or maybe we do something using Waffle, which is an overlay from GitHub on top of issues. I don't know if you've seen that, but they give you a nice free storyboard that we can use. We'd have regular sprint planning meetings, ideally, where we'd prioritize stories, vote on stories, things like that. And we'd have sprints that go for 1 to 2 weeks, the typical schedule. We'd also do sprint reviews with the product owner at the end of the sprint, which in this case might not be needed because it'll be continuous review by yourself. Once in a while we do a sprint retrospective, what's going well, what's not going well. That's a typical, in a nutshell, Agile Scrum process. So that would be good to have kind of that machine up and running at some point. I think populating a storyboard initially, especially with stories that, given the fact that we have new people coming in who don't know this project at all or some of the technology, that are approachable by new people. I know in your wiki you mentioned you have some kind of newbie-like stories that you try to keep around, so people who could come in, get involved with the project, not be intimidated by being thrown into the middle of an epic, but they can start delivering value and go up the learning curve. And that gives gratification that hopefully gives them motivation to stick around and continue to grow. in their knowledge. And it'll also allow us to, on our side, continuously outreach to AV people, looking for collaborators and bring them in to a nice, safe, easily startable process. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning. What are your thoughts on that, Sage?
Yeah, I mean that sounds great. That's I think right along the lines of what I was sort of hoping might come out of this.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think maybe one of the first concrete things we can do is create a storyboard with stories in the backlog that we could vote on, and people could pull. And some of the stories may involve either you have to take it, or I think your monthly person is called Matt. Maybe he has to take it. But some of them are approachable by AV people coming in. And as we AV people get smarter about this, we can take more involved stories. So you may want to take a look at whether projects capability that GitHub has would do that. Projects to me look more like an epic management thing as opposed to discrete stories, but I could be wrong on that. And the other thing is just use Waffle, which is out of the box. It'll pick up the stories directly from your issues in your GitHub repo, and then you can assign people can assign themselves. You can vote on and assign points. It works out pretty. Have you used Waffle before, Sage?
I've not used Waffle, no. I've used Trello, and then recently started trying to sort of put together some like breaking up some bigger projects into individual stories using projects on GitHub.
Got it. Okay, well, let me real briefly just show you quickly what Waffle looks like. So I'm going to switch over here. Yeah. So this is Waffle here for the Met Plus project, the so-called Met Plus project. And underneath, if I were actually to click on this, I could go look at the underlying GitHub issues. So, here we have a bunch of issues here in this repo. Waffle provides an overlay, nice overlay. It picks them all up. So all those issues are represented here. In fact, if I wanted to see the underlying GitHub issue represented by this story, I can just click on that, which is all good. But then I can, it's a project board. So I can say, well, gee, let's assign myself to this thing. And we're voting on this. So let's give it a size of, we think it's a medium point thing. So we'll give it a size of 2. We can give it labels like, we need this for an enhancement, or we need this for MVP or whatever. We can even assign milestones. We don't use that in the MetPlus project, but we could have milestones here. You probably, as a product owner, would like to have milestones. So you can aggregate stories required for those. So that's, and then of course, people can come in here, and once they're a collaborator, they can assign themselves. They can say, well, gee, this one's ready to be worked on. So I can, because it's been voted on, it's got an assignment of 2 points. I can assign myself to it. I can then move it over to in progress. And now everybody sees that Pat's working on this, and they're aware that it's in progress. When I create a pull request, I would just go in and move it over to need review. And now, people know that there's a pull request in there. They should go and review it, put some comments in. And then, of course, when it's done, we move it over here. So that's essentially how that all works. Clear the assignees here. We'll move that back.
Yeah, that looks pretty slick.
Yeah, and it's free, and it's tightly integrated. So, we've used Pivotal Tracker and other such tools before. The problem is that they're disjoint from GitHub. And so you tend to put URLs, paste URLs into Pivotal Tracker so you can go to GitHub and see the actual issue, that kind of thing, which is really just cumbersome. And people just don't do it. They forget to do that. So I'd strongly recommend, if you have time, to look into Waffle as an overlay on top of the project. And then maybe if we could, I don't know, maybe get together toward the end of the week and take a look at where you're at with. Do you think you could pull some issues out of your backlog that people could start working on, even with minimal knowledge initially?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that, like, to varying degrees of sort of like beginnerness, all of the ones that are in that newcomers friendly tag on GitHub fall into that. So it's a mix of ones that like are for someone who knows a little bit of either JavaScript or like some of them are really, really totally newcomer friendly, and some of them are more like if you have some basic like Rails knowledge or some basic like React knowledge or can sort of work your way through that, but without knowing sort of like the whole, you know, how everything works in the whole app. So they're for the most part pretty self-contained and like wouldn't require a lot of background research.
Oh, that's perfect. And then that would allow people to linger and start learning more of the app. So one of the main funnel points for people coming to AV, Sage, you may not know this, is from the MOOC courses, Agile Web Development using, oh, you know about that?
I mean, vaguely. I mean, I heard about it on the podcast when Sam explained the origin to the community, but I don't really know very much about what goes on there.
Yeah, there are a couple courses. They're called Agile Web Development using Ruby on Rails, Basic and Advanced. And they're very, very, very successful MOOCs out of UC Berkeley, headed up by a professor there, Armando Fox, Dave Patterson. They did an absolute phenomenal job putting this thing together. And so Agile Ventures is associated with that MOOC. In fact, Sam Joseph, who was on the call this morning, he actually is one of the professors for that. And some of the videos that you see, especially introducing the next course that we're going to be launching into, or talking about homework, things like that, getting ready to do that week's homework, etc. He does a lot of those. So he's listed on the site. And the MOOC course itself points people at Agile Ventures as a place where they can go to get involved with real projects, with real clients, and not just limit themselves to homework. Mm-hmm. And so they'll come out of that, they'll have a pretty good grounding in Ruby. You know, initially what you can do in 2, semester-long courses, they'll have a pretty good grounding in Ruby on Rails. They'll have some grounding in JavaScript. There are a couple of chapters in the book that we go through related to JavaScript, but there's no homework, at least when I took it, on JavaScript. So they'll at least be able to spell JavaScript and find their way around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Kind of like JavaScript for Ruby developers intro is what they do, and they do a good course. They do a good job of that. So overall, these guys show up with some serious skills, and the focus is not software development and language, the Ruby language or Rails. It's actually software engineering, modern software engineering. Mm-hmm. So you learn DevOps, you learn agile processes, you learn how modern software engineering organizations work, which is, you learn GitHub and Git, things like that. So they're yeah, Vijaya, go ahead. Anything to add to that?
Go ahead. All different type of version content.
Yeah, so I've taken quite a few MOOC courses. Those that series of 2 MOOC courses are absolutely the best I've ever taken. And so you see some people showing up with some build uponable skills, if that's a phrase I can use. So it's pretty good. And then Agile Ventures, of course, has mentors, more senior people, more experienced people who work with more junior people in helping them through stories and helping them through creation of PRs, reviewing PRs with comments so that they can learn how to do things better, etc. And that's a big value add, I think, for people showing up who are new. They get a lot of value out of more senior people reviewing the comments, mm-hmm. Reviewing the PRs. I'm a mentor, so I work on a number of projects in that capacity as well, although I'm not as experienced as I'd like to be. So there's a lot of value here with Agile Ventures being part of this. And you not only get people coming in, but we can entice them. We can encourage people to join, and then the mentors on the AV side can help people get through the rough patches so they don't get discouraged. So it's not all just on you to take these people under your wing and help them get through this stuff, which is really good too. So I think it's a good model.
Cool.
So anyway, I've said enough on that, I guess. But so how do you want to handle it? Do you think maybe spinning up a storyboard possibly in Waffle, and then maybe we can get together toward the end of the week and see what it looks like? And
yeah, that sounds great. I'll try to set up Waffle. It looks like a better fit than just trying to go with the projects on GitHub for this.
Yeah, it looked like the projects to me look like a good way to aggregate a bunch of stories or high-level stories into an epic, really big. Hence the name project. It's a project in and of itself. All right, so maybe we can do that, and then maybe on Monday we can actually just start out with, go through the motions of having a sprint planning meeting. It won't take long. Pull off some stories. Maybe we can even, I don't know if you want to do weekly sprints or biweekly, maybe weekly initially. And then we can figure out how much we think we can get done start in that first sprint, given that whoever shows up is the resource base we'll be using. I'll work on it, certainly. Vijaya, you may or may not want to be involved with that. It's up to you. But anyway, that's seems like the best way to get rolling at this point. Just start doing it.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Any other thoughts? I think kind of went over my thoughts in terms of the time. So we have this stand-up that we're doing right now. It's 2:00, obviously. We do it Monday through Thursday. Friday I have a conflict, so I can't do it. So would this time work for you as well, Sage?
Yeah, this time is very good for me. This time is, I generally don't have any conflicts on a regular basis around this time.
Perfect. How about your intern? Do you think you want to pull your intern in?
Yeah, I think she'll also, this time should work for her. We're actually, so today's the first day I mentioned before, and we're actually, as soon as this is over, we're going to have sort of our kickoff meeting to sort of go over her goals for the project and sort of the how to get started and how we're going to work together. So
Okay.
I think that this time will actually probably be good for her as well.
What time is it in Pune right now? They're UTC.
It's pretty late.
Like
I think
midnight or something? Approaching? 11 something?
No, it is
Sorry, Vijay?
1 o'clock, I think.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's almost 1 actually.
Yeah.
Almost one.
This one. Yeah, I know that. I think this time is difficult for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm gonna learn more about sort of what her preferred schedule and work habits are. But she actually suggested this meeting time as opposed to earlier or later. But we'll figure out the best way that we can sort of try to share a time zone as much as we can.
Yeah, that's tough. That is tough. Well, if you wanted to include her in a general stand-up like this, we can certainly be flexible on time. I think Vijay is in California. She's the same time zone as you. I'm on the East Coast, of course. Maybe we can figure something out. But if she's one of those folks who's a night person, perfect. This will work fine. This is great.
Yeah. Otherwise, it is difficult.
Sorry. Is she a student, Sage?
She is. She's a senior at at one of the major universities in Pune. Okay,
so maybe this is her normal
working time
biorhythm anyway. Yeah, like a lot of students are. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, if you want to, so when do you want to get back together again, Sage? You got a little bit of work to do, I guess, but what's your thoughts?
I probably Thursday would be good.
Thursday? Okay, cool. Let's do that then. If you want to just join this stand-up same time.
Yeah, I'll try to plan on doing that and possibly show up with Sejal tomorrow as well.
Oh, you mean on Thursday?
Or tomorrow.
Today's Tuesday. Oh, you're gonna. Oh, I see. You want to join as well as tomorrow? Just go ahead and join every day.
I mean, yeah. Well, we'll see.
Okay. And what's your what is her name? Your intern?
Sejal.
Sejal.
What was that? Vijaya? Did you pronounce that wrong?
Just I call her name Sejal or
Sejal.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Sejal.
Sejal. Sejal. I'm sure I'll be corrected on that a number of times.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, really, I do too. I'm sure I mangle names all the time. Okay, cool. Well, it'd be nice to meet her, and we'll connect up tomorrow then and see where we're at. Anything I can do in the meantime, let me know. I think everybody liked what they saw this morning. Everybody was impressed. I think the key thing is we want to make sure that the project gets started using the typical agile processes that we like to see. We've had some projects start, and they start without those preconceived notions as to how projects should be run, and sometimes they're just chaotic, and so we have to do an intervention, right, to recover them. But you know the drill. You've done it before, so this is all good.
Great.
All right, great. Well, that's all I had. I guess we'll, unless there's anything else, we'll reconvene tomorrow at the same time. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Talk tomorrow. Bye now.
Bye.